Josh Hart navigated scary childhood moments to achieve his dreams. However, it's his business ventures which could end up leaving him with generational wealth. Swapping houses. Ever wonder what happens to a player's house when they get traded mid-season? On February 8, 2022, Hart found himself in a sticky situation. He woke up to the news that he was officially being traded from the New Orleans Pelicans. His new home was now in Portland. He wasn't ready for such a drastic move, but he came up with a rather unique solution. When he first came into the league, he became close friends with his then teammate Larry Nance Jr. Nance was also a part of this trade. Nance was headed from Portland to New Orleans, so the two friends simply decided to swap houses. When Hart made it to Portland, he checked out Nance's digs and reported back that he liked what he saw. "Yeah, I know it's nice. I'm living there, man," Nance joked. Nance sent movers to pack up some of the essential items in the house, but he left the couches and TVs so Hart could make some room for his belongings. Talk about a nice guy. So it must be fun to be a multi-millionaire and be able to do such things, but there was a point in Hart's life when a terrible tragedy nearly left him homeless. Basketball obsession. Hart is known for his hustle these days, but it wasn't always so. When he was younger, his father didn't appreciate his effort in a game and took him to the park down the street from their house near DC as the two shot around until late into the night. This was the only time that Moses Hart ever had to tell his son that he didn't give his all on a basketball court. Sometimes Moses would bring out Josh's older brother as competition, at least until Josh got good enough to beat him on a regular basis. This was how he was raised. However, his childhood also had one scary moment. The summer after Josh's freshman year in high school, he went on a Boy Scout camping trip. That weekend, an electrical fire destroyed his childhood home. The Harts had no insurance and no money to rebuild. They lost nearly everything they owned and moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. 5 of them crammed into that space. That fall, Josh transferred from a public school to Sidwell Friends, a demanding private academy that was more famous for its rigorous classes than its basketball team. And there, he learned one extremely important lesson that made him the player he is today. Journey to college. Josh was in for a rude awakening. He was a goofy kid who had no trouble making friends, but he had no idea how to properly study because he'd never really had to study before. At Sidwell, 8.5 penalty points led to something called a loss of privilege. 2 weeks in, Josh had 16 points. By the end of his first year, the Sidwell administration sent him a letter suggesting he transfer, but he had one thing working for him. His classmates loved him. They started a Facebook group called Let Josh Stay. To make matters worse, his dad told him no more basketball if he ended up having to transfer from Sidwell. Hart had grown particularly close to one of his basketball teammates, Matt Hillman, and had begun spending more and more time at the Hillman's house with Matt and his little brother Charlie. And so, as part of Josh's agreement with the school, the Hillmans agreed to take him in for several nights a week so he'd have more space and more quiet to study. He gradually pulled up his grades, found his way both on and off the court, and got offers from several Division I schools, including Penn State and Rutgers. At one point, Villanova head coach Jay Wright went to Sidwell to scout one of Josh's teammates and wound up mesmerized by Hart. However, in college, Hart would have to make an extremely tough decision regarding his family. College highlights. It wouldn't take long for Josh to become the heart of the team. By his sophomore year at Villanova, Hart had become one of the leading three-point shooters in the Big East. He improved nearly every phase of his game and became Villanova's leading scorer. Coach Wright challenged Hart to make even better decisions on the court and became more of a leader. Part of the issue with Hart was that he was almost too competitive, even when it came to things like playing Xbox or who gets to the bus first. Everything was a competition to him. His improved leadership played a huge role not just in college, but also later in the NBA. He also began making better food choices, eating fruit at the pregame meals rather than going straight for a hamburger. He spent rebuilding the mechanics of his shot with an eye toward the NBA, enduring grueling offseason sessions with assistant coaches. The way he contributed with defense and rebounding was always part of his game. During his junior year, he helped Villanova win its second national championship in school history, after which he was troubled by an extremely tough decision. go to the NBA, or stay in college for one more year. The reason he wanted to leave for the NBA was because his parents were in their 60s, and his mother recently had a knee replacement. In the roughly 2 years it took her to file the insurance paperwork to get the surgery done, she waited tables at the country club, often working double shifts while the bones in that knee ground together. In the end, he decided to stay in college one more year in order to improve his game so he could have a longer pro career. After his senior year, he would declare for the NBA and be selected 30th overall by the Jazz before being traded to the Lakers. And this would foreshadow things to come. NBA career. Hart would end up changing the fortunes of one organization. Everyone respected his game, but it seemed as if no one had the space for him. After starting his career with the Lakers, he would find himself in New Orleans thanks to the Anthony Davis trade, and then from there, he ended up in Portland. However, it was his next destination that changed things for good. On February 8, 2023, the Trailblazers reached an agreement to trade Hart to the New York Knicks. He would be reunited with his Villanova brothers, Jalen Brunson and Donte DiVincenzo. On January 30th, 2024, Hart recorded his first career triple-double. His second one followed just 9 days later. On March 18th, Hart played all 48 minutes of a victory against the Golden State Warriors, joining Clyde Frazier and Jerry Lucas as the only players in franchise history to accomplish the feat. Safe to say that Hart has found his home. When he inked his massive deal, all of those practice hours with his dad and brother paid off. NBA contract. His parents won't have to worry about any bills now. Hart is signed to a 4-year, $80.9 million deal. 58 of that $80 million is guaranteed, and prior to this massive contract, he had inked a 4-year, $8.4 million deal with the Lakers and a 3-year, nearly $38 million deal with Portland. So no wonder he can just casually swap houses with another player and not worry about a single thing. While off the court, a business venture could potentially make him even richer. Number 2, off the court. Hart loves his wine. In fact, during a trip in Asia, as soon as he landed in the Philippines, his immediate reaction was to find a wine shop. Every week I have shipments of wine coming to the house, and every week I'm getting yelled at. 1, because I keep buying wine. 2, because we don't have a place to put it. So yeah, I guess we need to build a cellar. Hart is one of those guys who goes all in on his vices. At least wine is supposed to be good for you. In addition to a recent partnership with the Prisoner Wine Company, he also launched a scholarship as part of a wine program with Wine Access this past year to help individuals in the Black and brown communities get access to wine, offering 100 scholarships to aspiring wine experts in the BIPOC community to discover tomorrow's wine industry stars. It seems obvious that one day Hart will have his own wine label. He has even fantasized about having a plot of land as his retirement plan. And he will have plenty of money by the time he retires. His net worth. Hart is a hustler on and off the court. His Instagram has nearly 760,000 followers, and he has had his own Twitch channel and YouTube page. He does extremely well leveraging his fame for the extra cash, such as endorsement deals with Turtle Beach, Chipotle, and Peloton, just to name a few. And add to this his growing bank account, and you have yourself a pretty wealthy individual. For now, Hart's net worth is estimated to be around $30 million, and if he keeps hustling, that figure will easily double.